So it's that time of the month. You got to change your dirty air filter, and you're wondering if it's even time. You're standing at your local hardware store looking at all the air filters, all the different prices. You're seeing things like FPR 12 and MERV 13, and you're seeing things like provides a 90-day airflow performance, a bunch of graphics that show things like odors, allergens, particulates, and you honestly don't know what to do. So a lot of times you get scammed into buying the most expensive one, which can actually end up hurting your equipment and making you spend more energy than you thought otherwise. Now, as an architect, I'm passionate about finding the nitty gritty on these subtle nuances that most people tend to just ignore or not bother researching. And I like to look into them, learn as much as possible. And in this case, make a video that will help you guys make an educated decision. That way you guys are not spending money, hurting your equipment, and going crazy with the embarrassment of the decision of picking something out of a pool of so many complicated options. Now, if you take anything away from this video, it's this right here, MERV. MERV is the most important figure that we're going to be talking about, second to the size, the actual size of the filter that you're going to be purchasing, but I would assume that you guys can figure out at least that much on your own. So MERV, the interesting thing about MERV, to really understand it, we got to understand where it comes from. And if we move up here, we see that in 1895, this society, the American Society of Heating and Ventilating Engineers, they get together and form this group. And nowadays we refer to them as ASHRAE, which is the American Society of Heating, Refrigerating, and Air Conditioning Engineers. And so it's pretty important to note that this is not a government agency. We're going to get into that in just a little bit. But if we look into this document from that time, it says Hugh J. Barron. He basically was the present secretary at the time, and it says that this was just after the annual meeting of the Master Steam and Hot Water Fitters Association. And while recognizing the great value of the association as a trade organization, it was thought that the time was right for a purely engineering society composed of the active workers in the field of heating and ventilating work. At those meetings, subjects most interesting to the engineer would be discussed. As the story goes, they weren't pretty happy with the current society that they were a part of, the current organization, because they didn't have enough time to present the topics that they really cared about. And so when we're talking about ASHRAE and what they added of value to this whole system, we look at ASHRAE standard number 52.2, and this is the method of testing general ventilation air cleaning devices for removal efficiency by particle size. So in this document, they're basically telling you, hey, we as a society, we feel that we want to create a standard for letting other manufacturers abide by these standards to create what we consider is basically a grading table of how well your filters perform. And so here's where they talk about the MERV, or the minimum efficiency reporting value for air cleaners. And it says that an air cleaner shall be based on 3 composite average PSE points developed from tests at the manufacturer's specified airflow rate, selected in accordance with 8.1, thus loading shall follow the procedure outlined in section 10.7. And they go on into giving special classifications of how exactly, if you are a manufacturer of an air filter, how are you testing your filters to make sure that you follow their guidelines? And they come up with this rating system. So MERV goes from 1 through 16. And if you look at this, it might be a little bit confusing, but essentially all this is saying is that the lower the number, right, smaller objects, which is measured in microns. And if we go down here for a quick second, what a micron is, it's a 1/1,000,000th of a meter. And just to give you a little bit of an example of how you can measure that, like what are some objects that you can kind of picture how many microns they are? Well, a human hair is 40 to 300 microns. And if we go back up to this chart, so a human hair, it goes definitely way bigger than 3 to 10, right? We're talking about 40, the number is higher. So this is all this is telling you is that a MERV 1, which has basically the largest openings, if you can think of it that way, to let particles go through, it can do up to 20% blocking of anything up to 10 microns. So if a human hair is anywhere from 40 to 200, as we saw in that other chart, then 20% of that human hair is pretty easily blocked off by a MERV 1 rated. But the bigger the number, the easier it's going to be, because this goes up to only 10. So if the object is 400 microns, it's going to have an easier time blocking that off. And so we look at other things, right? Mold is 3 to 12, so significantly smaller than a human hair. If we look at pet dander, even smaller, still on the smaller side, right? There's pet dander that can be slightly bigger or significantly bigger than mold. And if we look at this, you're thinking, well, okay, so the higher the MERV, it's going to protect me against mold, right? Well, not quite, because it does protect you against mold, so to speak, mold spores, in the sense that your air filter will do a better job if it's a higher MERV number catching mold spores. But the truth of it is that that's not really how mold benefits. If you want to knock mold out, then you got to deal with moisture. You got to deal with air, things like moisture leak, right, in your house. If your roof is leaking, if your walls are leaking, if your windows are leaking, etc. Just general relative humidity in your space, and how well your equipment is getting rid of that moisture. So you want to stop the moisture from getting in the house, and then you want to, whatever moisture is in there, you want to control it mechanically. So that's a whole other topic for another question, but that just goes to show you that stopping the spores is only half the battle. So if your biggest concern when picking out an air filter is mold, there's other things you should be concerned about rather than your filter. Not to say that it's not doing a good job at stopping it, but that shouldn't be the primary focus. Now, if we look at something very interesting, we see the viruses, right? Viruses are very, very tiny. They're one of the tiniest numbers that we're seeing right here. And the interesting thing about viruses is, you would think, going back to this chart, so if we have viruses, if we're afraid of viruses, we want to go ahead and get to a number 16, right? Because that is going to block off 95% of anything within that range, within that tiny range. And to be honest with you, that is honestly a good take on it. But if you're thinking of something like a hospital, for example, who's really concerned with like bacteria and viruses and like fungal spores and whatnot, there's actually, ASHRAE has a whole entire guideline called the 170, the standard 170, which is ventilation of healthcare facilities. And here they say that if you want to basically ventilate a facility, a healthcare facility, you're not going to be using MERV. You're going to be using something called HEPA, high efficiency particulate air filters. And so you're probably thinking, like, can I just install that in my house and I'll be good to go? Truth is that you can't really do that, because most residences are not designed. The HVAC equipment is not designed to handle HEPA filters. There's a whole guideline for how you got to deal with those. So we can safely just rely on this chart here. So then by that standard, right, we're trying to block out the majority of these bad stuff. Like, we don't want viruses. We don't want like nasty pollutants floating around in our environment. So let's go ahead. Easy. Let's just go with a number 16, right? You would think that. And so there's a couple of nuances with that as well. When you look at this here, there is still a couple questions. One is, okay, I'm going to go with the highest one, which my local hardware store, highest one we can get to is MERV 13. So I'll go ahead and buy this really expensive one that's a MERV 13. But a couple things. Now we're being presented with FPR 12. So it's almost like, damn it, we got to start right at the beginning again. And not quite. This is where part of the scam takes place. And I throw that word around loosely, but we can call it marketing instead of a scam if it makes you guys feel better. So MERV, MERV, FPR, and NPR, they're the same thing. They're basically the same exact thing, except MERV is the industry standard by ASHRAE, and FPR is Home Depot's version, and NPR is 3M's version. So you can almost ignore everything and you can just rely on MERV, because that is the industry standard. So does that mean that we could just forget about everything else, pick MERV and change it every 90 days? Well, that's a really interesting question. ASHRAE doesn't really care how you deal with your house. They only care about setting the guidelines for how things should be measured and dealt with at a manufacturer level, right? They don't care what you do to your equipment or if you even have air filters at all. So to do that, to learn about that, we have to focus on the EPA, which is the United States Environmental Protection Agency. And these guys are a government agency. And let me read about how they formed, right? So this was in the 1960s. Rachel Carlson publishes her attack on the indiscriminate use of pesticides, Silent Spring, and this is in 1962. And you got to remember, this is a time when this is dealing things with like an offshore oil rig in California fouled beaches with millions of gallons of spilled oil. Near Cleveland, Ohio, you have a river that's choking with chemical contaminants and is spontaneously bursting into flames. You have astronauts that are taking pictures of Earth from space, and they're just showing you like, dude, you guys are killing Earth. And so all of a sudden, it's the 1970s, and everybody has a huge concern with pollution. And so President Richard Nixon, he steps up to the plate and he says, you know what, I can deal with this. So he creates a 37-point message on the environment. And so I almost went down another rabbit hole because I'm hearing things like 60s, 70s. I'm thinking of Nixon. I'm thinking of the Cold War. And I'm like, you know what, let me not go down that route. Let me just stick to the architecture and the mechanical equipment side of it. So going back to the EPA, so then because of all of these issues that are going on, the EPA forms and they decide that they're going to be the organization that takes care of pollution. So they're more concerned now about your house. ASHRAE doesn't care about your house. ASHRAE cares about the guidelines. EPA steps up to the plate and they're going to take care of all of us, this amazing governmental agency. And so if you go to their website, you have this awesome document that's called the Guide to Air Cleaners in the Home. And when we look at this document, they answer a couple of questions that most you and I have. Things like, how do I choose a filter that will be most effective at removing small particles of greatest health concerns? And they'll say things like, you know what? Use the highest rated filter that your system fan can handle. And most of them can handle a MERV 13. Okay. The other question that people might have is, how do I know if it's the right size? And then they say, well, whatever fits, it's about 1 to 5 inches. So if it fits, it's good to go. And then you might wonder, well, how often do I need to change these filters? And they say, well, manufacturers typically recommend replacement every 60 to 90 days. So this literally all aligns with everything that we just saw at the local hardware store. They're telling us just replace it every 60 to 90 days and just do MERV 19, who cares? And so all of a sudden you get another organization, and this is called the NAFA, the National Air Filtration Association. And they're like, whoa, you hold on. EPA, you might be concerned with the pollutants, but we're the professionals. We install these things, we maintain these things. Let us handle this. And for you guys to understand what NAFA is, I want to read a little section of their history. So it says Tom Otney, maybe an unfamiliar name to you guys, but he was NAFA president from 1996 to 1997. And I'm going to start reading verbatim here. It says, the ASHRAE standard for testing air cleaning devices was in use since 1976. A group of air filter distributors formally met in 1980, determined to join together and solve our mutual complaints against loopholes in the ASHRAE filter test standard. This marked the beginning of the National Air Filtration Association. So they're basically saying, like, you guys are setting up all these guidelines, but there's all these loopholes that people could take advantage of. Let us take care of this. So then in 1999, NAFA got the particle size efficiency test standard that we have been fighting for since 1980. ASHRAE introduced standard 52.2 in 1999, which is the one that we just saw. And it says method of testing general ventilation air cleaning devices for removal efficiency by particle size. This standard established a test procedure for evaluating the performance of air cleaning devices as a function of particle size, and described a method of laboratory testing to measure the performance of general ventilation air cleaning devices. Today, ASHRAE receives the credit for development of standard 52.2 method of testing. Its name is on the cover of the document, and it provided the funds to have a firm in research, Triangle Park Development, the new test standard. The driving force behind this new international MERV test protocol, though, was NAFA, a group that started out as a small meeting of concerned air filter professionals, was able to make a critically impactful mark in an enduring way. So they're like, hold up. You guys are taking credit, but this is all us. So I think that these guys are just badass. And to actually explain that even further, come on, these guys have this kind of resource, things like filtration for indoor firing ranges. Like these guys, honestly, they're just awesome. And so they have the filtration for the residential HVAC industry, right? And that's what we care about. So in this document, what are they saying, right? They're telling us we recommend that you go with a MERV 11. Like ideally, you should consult your equipment's manufacturer specifications, but as a baseline, 11, it's pretty darn good. But 11 is going to be worth nothing if it's not snug fit. So we recommend that you go in there and you start looking at things like filter frames, fastening devices, caulking, gaskets. All that has to make sure that is done, that is put together well, so that there's no air leaks. Because if there's air leaks around the filter, like the filter's not doing jack, right? And so they basically give us that number 11. And so how often are we changing this? And then they're saying, well, inspect it every month or so, right? And if you see any damage, anything that just doesn't look right, then you want to go ahead and address that. And if your filter in general looks nasty, you just want to go ahead and change it, right? Because this is where it gets really interesting. There's something called a pressure drop. And so I want you to understand exactly what a pressure drop is. Now, pressure drop happens when your AC, right, your AC, the blower fan is sucking up air, it's sucking up all these particles, and you introduce a filter, it's going to create some resistance. It's going to have to suck a little bit harder. And so that kind of answers our question of, well, why not go to a MERV 16? Well, because now your equipment is working harder, trying to suck air through such a tiny, little filter. It has to work harder. It makes it use more energy, and if essentially it could just destroy your whole system over time. Like it's going to reduce the lifespan. And so they're telling you basically that as your air filter is working and it's collecting particles, that air pressure starts to drop. And you can use a digital gauge to measure that, but ideally, you're hiring a professional that can check this for you. But the idea is once it gets to that special pressure drop, you don't want to get past that. That's when you change it. But of course, not everybody has that. Not everybody has the time. So we come to a conclusion here, right? And our conclusion is, according to NAFA, what we're doing is we're doing a number 11. We're first consulting our manufacturer specifications, and we're seeing what our equipment wants. The people that made it, what are they recommending? If we don't have that information, or we're just too lazy, then a MERV 11 is pretty good. It's got to be snug though. If it's dancing around, then you got to address that. You got to get a professional to come and inspect it and make sure that it's running properly. And when do you change it? Well, at the pressure drop, right? That's specified in the specification that a professional could help you with. But again, we don't have that information. We just want something real quick. So the idea is check it every once in a while, maybe once a month. If it looks dirty, just change it. You don't want a dirty air filter at all. And you get that MERV 11. And so with this in mind, we have now an educated stance at being able to make an informed decision instead of falling for all these marketing schemes that all these companies are using to get your money. And so I hope you guys learned something from this video. I know it's like a very daunting thing. If you guys work in the industry as mechanical engineers, or if you guys work on HVAC repair or maintenance, I'd love to hear your guys' opinion. And if you guys learned something from this, I'd love to hear what you learned or anything at all. So till next time, catch you guys later.